that needs to be banged out of the dust.
Shop RMG Designs with hundreds of products to choose from. There's sure to be something for your specific needs. Click on the link in the description to start shopping.
Welcome to Spirit Talk with the Wordmaster. This is the Wordmaster. This presentation, we have again Jason Williams. This is part 2 of a interview we did a while back entitled Rules, Relationships, and Religion. Or, well, you can reverse it however you want to. But anyway, we want to continue from where we left off, but for those of you who wasn't on when we started out, I want Jason to recap one of the most important things that I've ever heard one human being say about other class of human beings. And it's his rule, again right off the bat, his rule about not making physical contact with the opposite sex and the reason why. And he'll probably tell us how he came to that conclusion. So we'll turn over to Jason, who's going to begin with that and just tell us a little bit about himself, just to refresh your memory. Jason?
Okay. All right. This should be very brief. Okay. Man, I mean, the way you dropped that question out there kind of threw me for a loop, if you will. Opposite sex. I'm not saying that you not touch the opposite sex. What I say is, if that's not your woman, don't put your hands on her. And it helped me out receiving that teaching because on a deeper level, I understand what it's saying. Whatever you're involved with, it's not a game. It's not a joke. It's not, I'm looking for instant gratification or pleasure, if you will. I ran into the teaching because my teacher taught me something, and it was with his wife that happened to be driving up, and I waved to her, a gesture as in hello, but she didn't say anything back. And at that time, I was very an emotional, weak person, like extremely weak. And when she left, I asked why didn't she speak? And he gave me an odd look, and he said, is it a must that she speaks to you? And I said, no. He said, are you providing for her? I said, no. He said, are you sleeping with her? I said, no, sir. And then he said, well, why is it of importance that she speaks to you? And I paused, and he said, if it doesn't belong to you, leave it alone. And it doesn't mean in a possessive or slave type thing. It simply means if that is not your wife, you have no business touching her. And if you're speaking to her, it's about business. Or if it's a friend and associate, you can say, hey, you guys having a platonic conversation, yeah. But other than that, I don't see the reason for me, if you're not my woman, to engage with you unless I'm doing business with you. Well, that's the way I operate. And I've gotten a lot of respect because of it. I'll give you, this is a recent thing, if you will. I would say about 2 months back. There was a woman going through something. She broke up with her man, and it was very stressful. So I would speak to her, told her the 2 books to read, which I won't get into here. But, you could feel where it could go somewhere.
Right.
And I didn't do it because, one, she just got out of something. So the last thing she needs is a person trying to come in the room or romantic level. It's just a simply, hey, check this book out, check this website out, check out this other book, and, take time with yourself. And that's how I dealt with it. I think that the way society set things up, microwave society, everything's like now. You don't get to know a person that you're involved with. And most importantly, you don't get involved with yourself. So you don't even have a relationship with yourself. And you're trying to relate with other people and you don't know yourself. And since you don't know yourself, you don't know how to take time to get to know the individual. But you're dying to know what they look like in the room, which is insanity to me.
I want to get back to the relationship with yourself aspect, but I want to ask you a question. Have any females ever, and I mean ever, were put off by your decisions? Were they offended? Did they, take umbrage, as they say, at you not wanting to even hug them platonically? Tell me about that.
Well, I would say in the middle, if that makes sense.
Explain.
Of course, they think it's strange because everybody's trying to grab them or hug them, full body. You might as well drop them on the ground and do what you got to do. For me, to be honest with you, I'm not saying I wasn't honest before, but for me, I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very grateful when I'm involved with somebody. I think people are so, I don't want to say the word spoiled, or everything's in abundance, and they don't have any gratitude. You know what it is for somebody to say, you know what, I like you, I want to be involved with you. I don't think people take. Not that you're supposed to be like, oh, the world stops, but you don't really appreciate that gesture. You're just trying to get something out of what you want. So, because I was raised a certain way and I've experienced certain things when I left home, I move a certain way. And when a woman comes up to me that I know of, don't really know, that's how I deal with them. Now, if you're my woman, I don't care if we're in a church, a mosque, business meeting. If my woman wants to come up and grab me, I ain't got a problem with it, because that's my woman. And how I see it, me and her in the world. That's how I operate. Well, that's how I move. And it works for me. Might not work for other people. Maybe they don't have that discipline, but it works for me.
So what you're saying to me, and this is a question that needs to be answered. So what you're saying is that, yes, you've had some females who have been turned off, but deeper than that, have you ever been considered, well, gay because you won't do that? I mean, even as much as touch them?
Well, one, they wasn't turned off. They thought it was strange. Has one thought something was wrong with me? As in your word, gay?
That's the question.
Well, of course, I had one or two think that. But that's the ego on their part, because they think they're so gorgeous, which they were, by the way, that they can't be resisted. You get to me by how you talk, if you make sense, if you have intelligence, if you have something spiritual about you. I don't care about your religion. I really don't, as long as you live it. And you're kind-hearted. And you make me laugh. If you can do that, I'm interested. Other than that, I don't see the purpose of grabbing on you. You're not mine. Why do I care?
Okay, so the opposite to that question. Have you ever had opportunity to explain your stance and the female not only appreciates it, but you were endeared to her because of it? If you understand the question. Yes,
I've had that experience. Most of them I cannot explain because it's on a platonic level. But if someone's trying to get... First of all, not to sound arrogant, I don't go up to women. Women actually come to me.
He's not sounding arrogant, folks.
No, I'm not. Look, I think, people say, Jason, you have a strange demeanor about you, strange energy. So they do come up to me, and it's, hey, how you doing, where you from, blah, blah, blah. And it's a simple answer, simple conversations, or a joke may come out, or I may say something. I say, where you get that from? And convos on what I think and what I'm studying, and it turns into a relationship, if you will. And for the most part, in the beginning, it's all good. But when they figure out that I'm not changing, then it gets crazy. But, I like the way I am.
Good. I like that. Okay, so let's segue into where we need to be on this episode. Let's begin with religion. Okay, so everybody knows that 2020 was a barn burner. Nobody wants to relive that. What I want to know is, how has your spirituality, or whatever term you want to call it, how has that helped you mentally, emotionally, whatever? How has it helped you to cope through 2020?
Well, one, I was raised a certain way. I was raised by a Jamaican mother. I won't go into certain details, but it benefited me later on. So I was raised kind of hard. And what I experienced out in the streets, I can look at certain things and say, it's not so bad. It's not this. So, yeah, I can handle that. Being confined to an area doesn't bother me. When they say COVID, you have to stay inside, you can't go anywhere. That didn't bother me at all. So that's not even on a spiritual level. That's just on a human existing level. Seeing certain things makes you immune to certain things. On a spiritual level, I wouldn't say it was any different, because it didn't change what I was doing as far as meditating and reading and studying and looking at other people's teachings and whatnot. So COVID pretty much was reading, sleeping more. I did sleep a lot more, and it didn't bother me. I was very relaxed.
I gotta tell you, that is something that I wish a lot of people would have been able to embrace last year. So, let me ask you a question. Just think about it for a sec. Do you think that, and be honest, not honest, do you think that if a person had a strong level of spirituality, and I'm not talking about denominations, religions, all these different organizations, I'm talking about a mind connection with what they want to call the eternal, the universe, or whatever. Do you think that would have helped them in what they went through last year in 2020?
Yes and no. And what I mean by that is this. Okay. I was taught about ego and the love for materials. So, with the religious practice that I was practicing back then, it focused a lot on that. It did focus on what you would term God is. It required you to do prayers. So it was kind of like when you're lifting weights, you build your strength to take on heavier weight. And if people would practice, let's say, I will use Jesus. If they would practice the example of Jesus, they would get the same results because, correct me if I'm wrong, it is stated, greater works ye shall do.
Correct.
So if you practice it, staying indoors and not able to go anywhere should be a cakewalk. And if anything, it should strengthen you because you have more time to focus. Because let's face facts, before COVID, people wasn't even paying attention to their children, let alone their spirituality, because they were busy at work, trying to pay their mortgage and their car notes. So, yeah, it would have been better if they focused.
Okay, I got that. So let's apply a rule to what went on last year. Just like how you had your rule on relationships, what do you think one rule of life would have been good to apply during the whole situation last year?
Well, this one, I'm laughing because it takes, it took me years to get this understanding where it wasn't even a phrase. It was something that is in me. It doesn't require a language. And that is detachment. I am detached from majority of things. I don't get caught up in certain things. People learn to divorce the world, but operate. I think your book would say, be in the world but not of the world.
Yeah.
So if people would live that, practice that, and just look at nature, how things fade away. It doesn't really disappear, it transforms, but it still has use. So transform your walk. Strip away what is not needed. Example, you study a certain thing and you read and live a certain thing, and one of your members is not there yet. Strip away that arrogance of, why isn't this person here yet? And worse than that, you say that and you're affected angrily by that because they're not where you're at. And the question is, who got you there if you're in a religion? Who got you on that level? I believe, take the take the smut out my eye, if you will. If I said that correctly, I don't know if I said that correctly. The beam or whatever, yeah. The beam that's holding up the roof. But no, humble yourself, and I would say don't forget where you started.
Good. Those were some good rules. Now earlier I was talking with a friend of mine, and she mentioned that in 2020 she began the year by, well, the whole COVID situation, by being so afraid that from head to toe she was covered with this protective suit from head to toe, Jason. And she said that the more that she became knowledgeable of certain things, the less fearful she became and started to take certain things off and away. And she no longer looked like that person in a hazmat suit walking in Walmart. So my question to you is, do you think that knowledge has a lot to do with not just what we went through with COVID, but in dealing and handling with any situation of life?
When you say knowledge, in what way are you using knowledge?
You know how they say, the more you know, that tagline, and how they put it, what you don't know will hurt you, things like that.
Okay, well, let me see if I can answer it. Maybe I didn't understand knowledge part, but this is what I'm going to say. I think majority of people look down on the word knowledge. Then you have wisdom, because you know how to apply and when to apply the knowledge. And then you have understanding, meaning how to apply with accuracy. All right. Fear comes from ignorance. And I could use another word, but we'll use ignorance. So if you have knowledge, you won't have fear. This has nothing to do with religion, spirituality. If you had knowledge that the COVID was airborne before the news announced it, you could prepare a certain way. My advantage is somebody called me and let me know ahead of time that it was airborne. And the mask that we're using is not going to do anything. I even tried to broker deals to sell the proper equipment. And then there's equipment that's being manufactured that's not the real thing. Everybody's making money, right? But the fear that your friend had was on a carnal level, was lack of information. But on a spiritual level, it can be very dangerous, because I am a firm believer, or firm knower, if you will, that how you feel and think, you will attract that which you feel and think. So on a spiritual level, it can be very dangerous to think like that.
All right. Thank you, Jason. We're going to take a short break, come back, and discuss the other aspects of this interview that we didn't get into, and we're going to get deeper, dear listeners. So don't move a muscle. We'll be right back.
Shop RMG Designs with hundreds of products to choose from. There's sure to be something for your specific needs. Click on the link in the description to start shopping.
And we're back. Before we go forward, I just want to take a minute to let you know, and I really need you to know that you can get some very good products on shop.spreadshirt.com. Excuse me, shop.spreadshirt.com/RMG Designs. There you can get t-shirts, you could get mugs, cups printed with some beautifully inspiring messages. The information will be in the description, and also I invite you to subscribe to Soul Cafe TV on YouTube, where you'll be treated to a daily dose of devotions, inspiring poetry, songs, and much more. So again, that's Soul Cafe TV. And to get it, go to soulcafetv.us. Again, soulcafetv.us. So, if you just joined us, we are in the studio with my friend Jason Williams, and we've been having a very lively discussion on rules, relationships, and religion. Now, before we went to break, we had touched on a topic, and I said that we're going to touch it later on, and that is the thought of having a relationship with yourself. Now, having been exposed to that concept, it's strange to me because for the life of me, I believe that most people have a relationship with themselves. That's why they're so self-centered. But Jason said no, and I'm going to give him the opportunity to explain what that means and how it is beneficial when you finally decide to enter into a relationship with another person. So at this time, welcome back, Jason.
Okay. All right. You said people are self-centered. Yeah, they are. If you're a self-centered or arrogant person, you don't know yourself. And you haven't experienced yourself. You don't have a relationship with yourself. What you do, you have a relationship with society and situations that are played out in society. Example, the latest hot gear. You have to have that. You think that that is you. Or even on another level, you demand respect, which is a judgment. You know, people worry about people respecting them. I'm not worried about people's opinion about me or judgment of me. So their respect is not required. Some people will be like, well, what do you mean by that? You just let people talk to you any kind of way. For the most part, yeah. I let people talk to me any kind of way they want to. Or what I don't do, where I draw the line is when they get physical. You can't beat me and or hit me with something and think that's it. No, I'm going to help you realize you made a mistake if I can. But as far as words, no, that doesn't bother me. Now, to have a relationship with yourself, you should sit down wherever you're comfortable, if you're interested. And there's a word called meditation or meditate. Now, some people would say, well, meditation, is that where you clear your thoughts and no words? No. Meditation helps you not be affected by things that come in your mind while you're trying to stay in a certain state. We do it our entire lives. We call it sleep. You can be in a meditative state even while you're occupied with things. That takes a certain level. As a matter of fact, martial arts teach you that a lot. This is how you're able to go through certain objects when training. A lot of people don't have a relationship with themselves. And this is why when events pop up, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. That was you. You don't believe you did that. Because you're not relating with yourself. You have never took time out with yourself without things. Can you be in a room and there's nothing there and you don't need artificial stimulation to have peace or joy or happiness? See, we're living an artificial life. And then we get involved with people with our artificial selves. It's just artificial people getting with artificial people, creating artificial situations that are not real. And then you wonder why the divorce rate is so high, or why the guy or the girl had so many partners. You're not real to yourself, so how could you be real with anybody else or each other? It's time that we really take a time out and look at what we really mean by relationships and, of course, relationship with oneself. I would like to submit there's very few. I won't say, oh, I know myself. I don't even want to come out like that. But Christians read where Jesus did 40 days, 40 nights fasting. Fasting will definitely help you get related to yourself, especially when you're fasting and that refrigerator's around, a couple of minutes away from you. So I think what's going on is that we make it seem like it's a hard chore or it's this hard thing to do. No, it's very easy. You just have to have a desire, and you exercise that desire, and the key ingredient is sincerity, and you'll get the results.
I like that. Okay, so that was good, but now let's fast forward and apply it to a thought from last year. All last year, I was thinking how, wow, it is good that this thing happened because couples now are going to be able to spend time with each other. You already know where we're headed. So, the rude awakening that I got, and it wasn't an awakening, was that no, it wasn't the case. In fact, as I was talking to someone, the thought was that no, people got to see the real person and realize who they married or who they're in a relationship with. And it was a real turn-off because, they could spend a few hours with them, but then they're on the go somewhere. So, okay, now, let me try to phrase this question diplomatically, but yet frankly. Do you think that just by that person or both parties knowing themselves or relationship themselves, as you so eloquently put it, do you think that would have spared a lot of relationships that just disintegrated last year? Or do you think that there was so much more than just, egos at work, at play last year that these relationships didn't really stand a chance from day one?
Well, you said, what's the word you used? You said, excuse me, I'm sorry. They got to know the person or saw the real person.
Right.
No, they didn't. They never saw the real person. What they saw was the artificial person because the person probably didn't even know themselves.
Good point.
So what's going on is this. 8 hours, 9 hours a day shifts. Work. Rihanna. Work. 8, 9 hour shifts. Rotating. Maybe they both go in the morning. Maybe one comes home in the morning and one goes, or. So you really don't spend time with each other. And the COVID caused you to now do those 9, 8 hours together in this cooped up place or house. The house became very small after a while. There's only so much eating you could do, only so much in the bedroom you could do. There's only so much TV you could do. So you start noticing certain things like how the person has a sinus or how the person sits or certain thing a person does every morning like a ritual. When I say ritual, I'm not talking religion. Like they do a certain thing at a certain time. And that bothered you. Things that you didn't even see, you didn't even know it was there. And there's a lot of things that's not on the news. There's a lot of couples hurting each other physically, children getting hurt, breakups. Some people are broken up and they're still in the same home because they can't afford to leave. It's a big mess. But if you knew yourself, if both couples knew themselves, one, you would enjoy the individual. Like, if I'm into somebody, hour feels like a second. If that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
So I'm not saying that people are in falsehood or the relationships are doomed. I'm not saying that. I won't say that because I don't know the whole planet or whatever. What I will say is love is more than just a word, and I'm starting to get tired of the word love because it has no meaning in today's society. It's love comes with materials. It's not a deep thing. I mean, can you feel if a person loves you? Or you have to see things? I think people really need to take time out with themselves, of course. Yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
All right. So, listeners, we're about to take one last break, and when we come back, we have a closing segment, and as we wrap up, I want to let you know out there that we're about to get heavy right now, so stay tuned. You do not want to miss our last segment. And all right, we're back. This is Spirit Talk with the Word Master, and yes, I am the Word Master. And with me is Jason, and we're wrapping up another exciting interview session. Last time it was a doozy, and this time it's turned out to be just as interesting. Friends, I'm going to ask Jason to put on his prognosticator cap, and for those of you uneducated folks, that means being a psychic, being a prophet, being a seer. So, besides the rules, relationships, and religion, Jason, going forward in 2021, because you know how they say hindsight is 2020, none of us saw that coming. What do you see coming ahead in 2021? Probably around the planet, but let's keep it local here, America, our area. What do you see happening in the not too distant future?
Dun, 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 dun. I'm a little bit more optimistic. I think to the religious, they're gonna, of course, if they open up the church doors, it's filled. I think the beginning of 2020 shook a lot of people. I think by the end of it, it made people reflect and change a lot of their ways, or at least attempt to. I think it's going to be a little, as crazy as it sounds, there's going to be a lot of murders going on, no doubt about it. Man, there's going to be some murders going on. However, you're going to see a lot of empathy and kindness. I've been out there now, and people are more, maybe because it was, Christmas went by or whatever, but people seemed a little bit more helpful as far as giving dollars to people, to the homeless. I'm witnessing that. I have to be honest. A lot of women are saying good morning to me, which is very unusual. I think it's part of the economy, or reality's kicking in that 21 can be a doozy. On a negative side, a lot of jobs are going to be gone. They're gone already. If you're not an essential worker, or like my friend, he works for Sirius Satellite Radio. So they stay home and do the same work that they would do at satellite radio. And they're valuable, so they keep their jobs. But to the corporations, they're saving money because they don't have to rent buildings now because people are home. And based on what I understand, 80% of America's jobs can be automated. They don't really need people. So I'd like to say I'm going to be optimistic. Yes, there will be some guns blazing, but I think humanity will prevail. I think there's going to be a lot of unity, churches, mosques, or whatever coming together, maybe more food banks helping each other out. And hopefully people are more sympathetic.
All right, Jason, I really want to thank you for joining us today. I know that it has been beneficial for me, and I know that many of the listeners have been enlightened. So right now, I just want to close by doing what this podcast is meant to do. Again, it's entitled Spirit Talk, and so I want you to speak that person's spirit. One of my rules is that I'd rather be part of the problem than I want to be part of the solution than part of the problem. I always get that mixed up. I think it's a Freudian slip, but whatever. I'd rather be part of the solution than be part of the problem. And so therefore, I try my best in whether it's relationships, religion, to apply this rule. That I'd rather be a help than a hindrance. So for the next few minutes, Jason, I just want you to speak to someone's spirit and encourage them in the not too distant future that there's going to be hope no matter what the headlines are saying, no matter what their eyes even are seeing. All right, you're on.
Okay, I'm going to have to do mine differently. No, I can't give you a sermon or give you, what they call it, prosperity speech or preaching. This is what I do when I'm about to go to sleep. I think about things that I want to happen. I don't think about things that I don't want to happen. It doesn't make sense. If you don't want it to happen, why think about it? But most importantly, I feel like whatever I want to happen, keyword feel, that it's already here. I actually feel it in my being, or my atoms, or consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And I sleep and say, it's here, or I use pictures, it's here, and it shows up. Well, at least it works for me. And that's what I would leave with people. Stop thinking negative, stop feeling negative, which is more key, because words are not power. It's the feeling behind the words that gives it power. That's what I'd leave with the people.
All right, once again, thank you, Jason. And for all of you out there, you've been listening to Spirit Talk with the Wordmaster. Again, remember to support our sponsor, Reunion Media Group, RMG Designs, and our special affiliates. Thank you again. God bless you. And no matter what you do, no matter what you go through, friends, remember, stay positive. It's not worth being negative Neds and negative Nancy's. Take care until next time.